Ladies and gentlemen, I'd just like to say thank you very much for the organisers for the invitation to come to Bilbao. It's a very beautiful city. It's my first trip. I'd just like to say, although I arrived safely, my suit will be joining me later, so I apologise for my address tonight. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the ERIN network. The ERIN network basically is a Brussels network, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and I'm then going to talk about the Innovation Union, and a new concept called smart specialization, and finally talk about what I see as the regional dimension and the regional importance of innovation in the regions. So basically, ERIN is a Brussels-based platform of regions. Its aim is to strengthen regional research and innovation capacities by exchanging information, by sharing best practice, supporting project development and policy shaping and profile raising in Brussels. ERIN is a network which helps regions get their voice heard in Brussels and very much supports the implementation of the Europe 2020 strategy and particularly the Innovation Union flagship initiative, of which I'll talk a little bit more. Just first of all, where have we come from? And I mean, when we talk about innovation and research, it's quite clear that for regions this has been an important agenda over the last 10 years. ERIN first started in 2001. So we are basically our 10th anniversary this year. We started very much as an informal network, and if one goes to Brussels, you'll find thousands of informal networks of regions working together, collaborating together in Brussels. But we had the chance of getting a project grant. We got some funding from the European Union in a program called Regions of Knowledge. This program is still continuing. And this enabled us to be a little bit more professional, to set up a secretariat, and to be a professionalisation of the network. And when that funding ran out, we then agreed to take on to become a subscription-based network. And 15 regions at that time took on this task, and now we've grown from 2006 with 15 regions, and now we're over 90. And the Basque Basque Region Chamber of Commerce is one of our management board members, so we're very pleased to have them there. Basically, ERIN looks at this policy of 3 Ps. We're interested in policy shaping, projects, and profile. This year is a very, very important year to shape future research and innovation policies. So it's interesting to see what the Spanish position is on that. But this year we're talking now about the future of the EU budget. We're also talking about the future of the research and innovation programme. And this is a very, very big area at the moment, and regions need to get their positions clear on this, and this is what we're trying to do in ERIN. But perhaps one of the most important things that we're doing for regions is trying to develop projects with regions. Now, when regions work within Europe to get European projects, they have to work usually with other partners. So they need a minimum of 3 partners, 3 regions, and probably usually around 7 or 8. And this is what ERIN is very good at doing, is facilitating project development in Europe to make sure that regions can find good partners, put forward projects, and exploit the European funding opportunities, particularly in research and innovation. And finally, we're very interested also in making sure is raising the profile of both our network in Brussels, but also raising the profile of individual regions in Brussels to make sure that their competences, the things they do well, they can communicate to a wide audience in Brussels. We work very closely through, our regions work very closely with what we have as 12 working groups. Each working group is run or organised from a bottom up, so it's regions coming together. This is not top down saying we will have those working groups. Each of those working groups is very much based around where regional interests lie, and you'll see from the 12 groups there that each group is run or organised, co-leading by 2 or 3 regions. And the ones at the bottom, which are interesting for you, probably the ones in a slightly different colour, I put there because they're new There are new working groups that have started this year, and I think it's quite interesting. We're talking about international cooperation, tourism, and design and creativity. Those wouldn't probably be on the regional agenda 10 years ago, but they certainly are now because there are opportunities for funding, and regions are seeing that these are areas that they want to get engaged in more closely. And I think particularly on the tourism, and we've already had discussions today with representatives from the region of how important future tourism will be for the Bilbao and the Basque Country, and also design and creativity, and also as well as health. I won't go through this, but you can see that the ERIN network has a range of activities. Our working groups work very regularly, regions coming together, and we also do a range of events in ERIN, and we've got lots of activities that are coming up through there. So I'm not going to go over there in any detail, but I'll be around later if people want to talk a little bit about them in more detail. But what I want to come on to today really is we were asked to talk a little bit more about Europe 2020. Now, Europe 2020 is the successor of the Lisbon strategy. And basically, this slide gives you a very handy overview of what it's all about. 3 priorities: smart growth, sustainable growth, and inclusive growth. 5 targets, and 7 flagship initiatives, which will be the roadmaps of really where the key activities of Europe will lie in the next 10 years. And the one I'm going to concentrate on today, because this is obviously an innovation activity, is looking at the Innovation Union in more depth. Now, these are the flagships. Those are flagships in more detail, and you'll see that they're under each line is on there. Let's have a look now at the way that these things will come through. First of all, the Innovation Union came out last year in November. It was also came out with another, you'll see that another communication that came out on smart specialization. And so one of the things that the Innovation Union is looking at is to tackle the unfavourable framework conditions for innovation, to avoid fragmentation, to focus on innovation that addresses societal challenges. Now, this is societal challenges we can probably say is climate change, aging population are 2, security, energy supplies. These are the sort of areas that are coming up as key societal challenges, not just for Europe but for the world. And also the idea of pursuing a broad concept of innovation and involving, and what is important for us, that innovation should not just be something just as purely technical, but looking at all actors and regions in the innovation cycle. Now, in terms of the smart specialization, this is going to be looking at, and I'll come on to this a bit more, at looking at how regions might start to select key competences that they may have to drive forward future strategies on their economies. And I'll come on to that in a bit later. But first of all, I'd like to go into the Innovation Union and just pick up some of the key points. First of all, there is the notion, although we're in a crisis, and we've just heard that this is not a particularly good time financially, it is quite clear that we need to invest more in education, research and development, innovation, and also information and communication technologies. We need better value for money by tackling fragmentation. Although we would be, Erin would say, we want to see all regions involved in research and innovation, we must make sure also that there is a joined-up policy, that not every region is reinventing the wheel. We need to modernise all levels of education, better mobility for researchers, and also to simplify, and this is something that people who are involved in European projects are very clearly about, we need to simplify EU funding programmes, and also, which was coming up future, that the structural funds that each region receives will be more devoted to research and innovation in the future. In terms of, we need, in the second area, the areas of the Innovation Union, we need to get more innovation out of research. So basically, this is one of the paradoxes, often talk about the European paradox, that we do lots of research, but we don't get the innovation. And that might be something that will come up later in the debate. Why is it that Europe is strong on research, but weaker on the innovation? We need to reduce the barriers for entrepreneurs to get ideas to the market. And also there is this new idea of European innovation partnerships, where we'll be looking at accelerating innovation in particular fields. And the first one that we've chosen is on healthy aging. That's going to be starting this year, and there'll be other ones coming up in the future, and I've listed them there, that will be theoretically following in the next few years. And finally, the two areas, one that's coming up we've already mentioned, which is design and creativity. One of Europe's strengths is that it has this design and creativity, that we are probably stronger at that than many parts of the world. And then also we need to work better with our international partners, and we'll probably hear about that more as well.
Excuse me, Mr. Tuffs, I would ask you to start wrapping up in order not to lose our rhythm, if you are so kind.
I shall move forward. I will move forward in quickly. I will miss quite a few slides out. I just want to go back now. I'll finish up because I think this is a new area that we need to look at. It's the smart specialization. Smart specialization is what we're talking here is the idea now of smart specialization policies are needed for each region. We need to compare regional strengths with other regions. This is important. I think this is why the ERIN network is there, looking at inter-regional transnational cooperation. Business research centres and universities must work together to identify promising areas, and we need to include policy learning, peer reviews and regional stakeholders. So it's a very key area. And this is where we're now trying to look at strategic intelligence is needed to identify a region's high value added activities which strengthen its competitiveness. And this will have then to have impact innovation resources need to reach a critical mass and link to skills, education and knowledge infrastructure. This will be, in the next 3 years, regions will be asked to do this in their structural funds. This is something that will be coming through in the next, we'll be talking about that this year. And this is where we will then start to look at how this smart specialization will start on this year. Sorry, I'll have to rush through a bit more on those, so I won't stop there. I mean, these are all now there will be a smart specialization platform that's going to be kicked off this next week, in fact in Brussels. So ERIN will be part of that platform, and the regions will have a key role to play in how they're going to work and develop the ideas behind smart specialization in the next 2 or 3 years. So this is something really that the region should be looking out for in that area. I'll move forward here. I'd just like to say that regions then are key players in research and innovation because regions know their context. Why are regions important? Because they know their local players, they know their needs, they also have a critical mass where they can bring in resources and talent and bring in what we call this triple helix. This is the triple helix where the regional governments are working very closely with universities, working very closely with the business community to make sure that they're aligning their strategy, for example, towards the key competitive advantages that the region might have. So in conclusion, regions need innovation. And innovation needs regions. This is very, very important. It's already stated that the Innovation Union must involve all actors and all regions in the innovation cycle, focusing on smart specialization with member states and regions acting in partnership. And that's a very key word in this concept of partnership together. Regions are key players as they are the places where innovation happens. So innovation is all over, but it always is rooted in a place, it's always rooted with people, and that's important for us to look at. And then regions need to collaborate to shape policy, develop their projects, and raise their profile in Europe. So thank you very much indeed.